Hi everybody, Kevin back here from Vitality. We have our good buddy Mark Tosques with us today. Sorry, Mike. I'm back too. Yeah, Sean is back. So we're in for round two with what to eat, proper foods, good quality foods. So Mark, we like we said last time, having him in has really kind of educated us on going and really getting real quality foods, whether it be meat, whether it be your water, anything on the table that we want to feed us and our kids. So what are we talking about today, Mark?
So today we are talking about a subject that I'm extremely excited about. So the topic we're going to talk about today.
You were excited last week.
Yeah. But oh man, if I get even a little bit more excited about this particular one. So we're going to talk about dairy today.
Oh yeah, this is a controversial topic.
Yeah, controversial topic. I don't want to get too much into the controversy, but I'll mention where the controversial pieces are, so that way people are educated on
Mark,
that.
I have one. So last week you got me with a joke. I got one for you.
You got one for me? Okay.
One for you. Why did they invite the mushroom to the party?
Because he's a fun guy.
You got it.
Yeah.
So, fungus, bacteria. We're going to talk a lot about that stuff this
Bacteria
week.
plays a very important role in healthy dairy products for you guys. So just to give you an idea how excited I am about dairy products. So like when I was a kid, I'd go to Toys R Us with my mother, and so we'd be holding hands as we go into the store. And then as I get into the store, I start kind of yanking on her hand, but she's still holding me a little bit. And then she lets me go. And then I run off. And where do I go? To the video game section. Of course, because when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play video games. So nowadays, I go to the health food store with my wife. And we're holding hands as we walk into the store. And then the doors open, the automatic doors. And then I start kind of pulling on her arm. And then she lets me go. And then I just run right to the dairy section. And I always run right to the dairy section to see what kind of exciting things there are. And I oftentimes find something and I just grab it and I'm holding it and I run back to my wife and I say, wow, look at this. And she's like, wow, that's amazing, Mark.
Like me talking about golf to my wife.
Yeah, something
Right.
like that.
I got it.
And there's one product that I just went absolutely crazy over the other day that I found for the first time. I've been looking for it for like 10 years. So I'm going to show it to you guys at the end. And I'll tell you a little story about that one too. So I'm really excited about dairy products, and there's a lot of misunderstanding about dairy products. And also there's different echelons of scale of quality of dairy products. So we're going to try to look at those different quality pieces.
Right.
So the first thing I just wanted to talk about with you guys are the different components of dairy. So you can see we have a bunch of products here, and I'm just going to explain the components of dairy first and then talk about how each of these products matches each of the components of dairy. So there's four big ones. So the first one is the fat, so dairy fat, also called butter fat sometimes. There's the calcium that's in dairy products. There's the sugars that are in dairy products, so that's called lactose. And there's the proteins that are in dairy products. There's two different types of protein. One is called casein and one is called whey. And that's an oversimplification. There's more than just that, but those are the pieces that we're going to focus on.
Pieces of the puzzle.
Exactly. So the first piece we're going to talk about is fat. Because fat, like some people have intolerances or allergies to dairy, and usually it is not to the fat. It's extremely rare to have somebody that's actually allergic to dairy fat. Well, the one problem, I guess, with dairy fat is certain people have trouble digesting fats. For example, my mother doesn't have a gallbladder.
There you go.
So the way things work is your liver produces something called bile. And bile is what's used to digest fats. But the liver produces a little bit extra bile and then stores it in the gallbladder. So the gallbladder is kind of like the garage fridge, where you might store some extra beers if some buddies come over. And then if your intestines notice, some extra fat has come in, then the gallbladder releases that extra bile to digest the fat.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have a gallbladder, or if you have liver problems and you don't produce a lot of bile, then you're going to have a terrible time digesting fat. So in my mother's case, for example, she can't eat high-fat foods in the morning. She needs to give her body, her liver, some time to gradually produce the bile, and then she can eat higher fat foods at lunch and then especially at dinner. So she wants to have a higher fat treat. It's always much later on in the day because her body's ready for it. So how do you know if your body's production of bile is inadequate, well, first of all, if you had gallbladder surgery and you had it removed, that's a problem. And the second piece is, even if, say, your liver might not be producing bile adequately, you'll know because when you eat fatty foods, you're going to end up, kind of doing something like this. And then standing up and holding your butt and quickly running to the toilet. And because the bile takes the fat, breaks it down while it's in intestines. Now, if it's not broken down, it lubricates the intestines and gone. Yeah. Everything comes out really, really quickly. Yeah. So now the solution to that is you can take a bile supplement. So for anybody that's missing a gallbladder, for example, I highly suggest you take a bile supplement, and then you can enjoy all your high-fat foods. And this applies to dairy fat or any type of fat, so if you have that particular issue. So bottom line there, if you have a fully functional liver, you have a gallbladder, it's very, very rare for someone to be allergic to dairy fat. So enjoy as much dairy fat as you'd like. Okay, now second piece is the calcium that's in milk. So a lot of people drink milk as a way to increase their calcium consumption. Now there's one thing that, and this kind of relates to dairy products in a particular way, it's called the calcium paradox. So the calcium paradox is if you eat a lot of calcium, it doesn't necessarily lead to stronger bones. So oftentimes, people would have bone-related issues. They'd be prescribed calcium supplements or to drink extra milk or something like that. And what ended up happening to these people is calcification of their arteries and their veins. Yep. Because they were unable to take the calcium in circulation in their bloodstream and put it into their bone cells. So the limiting factor, the rate-limiting step, so there's these things called osteoclasts and osteoblasts that break apart bone and create new bone. Yeah. And the rate-limiting step of that are fat-soluble vitamins, actually. And the fat-soluble vitamins specifically are, the most important one is vitamin K2, and that's very hard to find. And there's all in foods, so I'll give you some options though. And then there's also vitamin A, and there's vitamin D. Yeah. So in all the milk that you guys usually drink, if you drink milk, there's always vitamin D added. Because in milk, there is no vitamin D. Unfortunately, though, if you have a cow that is not being raised on pasture, then that cow's milk is not going to be as rich in vitamin A and vitamin K2. So even though you're adding the vitamin D into the milk, that calcium cannot be readily used up in your body to create new bone. But if you are eating grass-fed dairy products that are not low-fat, because the vitamin A and vitamin K2 are in the fat, they're fat-soluble vitamins. If you're not, so you have to eat high-fat dairy products, ideally from pasture-raised cattle, and then all the nutrients that you take in, like for calcium in the milk, or if you eat bone broths that have calcium in it, then you'll be able to more readily uptake that. So that's an important piece. So it's absolutely crazy for like someone to take milk and take the fat out of it. It's just the craziest suggestion I've ever heard, especially when you think about how important those fat-soluble vitamins are. So we went through this phase, of like low fat, but then you're taking out the most nutrient-dense portion of the milk that you guys are drinking. That's actually inhibiting you from taking in the calcium.
Good fat, at least, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's funny, so in the case in point, my mom had borderline osteoporosis, and so the doctor prescribed a medication. I didn't know this, and told her to drink more milk. But obviously the milk my mom was buying wasn't this.
Yeah.
So my recommendation at the time was, well, we're going to help your absorption factor. We're going to actually take you off of it, because she was actually lactose intolerant. Take her off of that, and when she stopped the dairy and had a better diet, her numbers changed.
There you go.
Unbeknownst to me, she even stopped her med.
Oh, really?
So when she went back to the physician, he was like, oh, finally the meds started working. She goes, actually, I stopped taking them, and I didn't drink milk. So he was like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy. So, like, if you look at it from a broader perspective, it makes sense from getting more nutrient-rich foods that allowed her to actually absorb the calcium that's in circulation.
Because I think that's the misconception sometimes, too, is that people don't think of the machine itself. If, it's great that you would have something that's better for you, but if your absorption isn't good because of X, Y, Z, there's tension there or something in the nervous system, well then these things aren't going to work anyways to their full potential.
Exactly, right? And they could even be detrimental if the calcium circulates too long in your bloodstream and you get calcification.
Yeah.
And now you mentioned the term lactose intolerance. So like that's the next piece that we'll talk about. So we talked about the fat, we talked about the calcium. So now we'll talk about the sugars.
Yep.
So in milk, there's a sugar called lactose. And so a lot of people have lactose intolerance. Now, lactose intolerance is not an allergy. So some people say, oh yeah, I'm allergic to milk. And then you ask, well, what's the problem? They say, oh, I have lactose intolerance. So that's not an allergy. What that means is you can't break down the sugar in the milk because there's an enzyme in your body, or some people have it, some people don't. Yeah, it's called lactase. And so if you don't have the lactase enzyme, you can't break down lactose in your small intestine. So it ends up going into your big intestine. And then all the bugs that live in your large intestine, your gut flora, feast on that lactose. And oftentimes the byproduct of that is gas and bloating and general discomfort in the stomach. So if you eat dairy products and you have a lot of gas and you have a lot of bloating, the problem is not the fat, the problem is not the protein, the problem is the lactose that's in there.
Usually in that sigmoid region is like the most common
on the
zone. Yeah, the descending colon that you'd feel it the most usually.
As the gas kind of goes up on that side and you
kind
of get stuck around there.
Yeah.
Interesting. So there you go. So if you guys have discomfort after eating dairy products kind of around this side here, or just generally
gas or
bloating, then you know that the problem is the lactose. But now that doesn't mean that you can't eat dairy products, because we're going to go over a whole list of dairy products, many of them that don't have lactose in it. And when we look at fermented dairy products, so the most common example is yogurt. What they do when they make yogurt is they add enzymes to the milk that eat their food is the lactose. So they feast on the lactose, and that's what gives that acidic nature to yogurt. So the bacteria are actually eating the lactose. And then when you eat the yogurt, unless if you have very severe lactose intolerance, then you can't eat yogurt. But if it's only mild, when you eat yogurt, the bacteria enter into your gut, and they can slowly populate your gut, and then all of a sudden you'll be able to digest lactose. Not as if you had the lactase enzyme and your body kind of breaks it down. Instead, the friendly bacteria that live in your gut will break it down for you in a way that will not cause gas and bloating.
It was similar to what we spoke about last time with the sourdough starter, right? The yeasts and the bacteria in the starter actually help to break down the wheat and the gluten so that you can then digest it. Same concept here, right? Bacteria, we've been living with them since the beginning of time. And you can either live with them or against them, but we prefer to live with them.
Yeah, we prefer to live with them. And so now this brings us to our first slightly controversial piece. So there's a process that all milk in Quebec has to go through. It's called pasteurization. So pasteurization, you take the milk, you heat it up just a little bit to kill all the bacteria that's in there, and then you cool it back down. And it's a quick process. Unfortunately, when you do pasteurization, you're killing potentially bad bacteria, but you're also killing good bacteria that's in there. And one of the good bacteria that's in there is actually what allows you to better digest lactose. So in the milk itself, there's the enzymes that you need to be able to digest lactose. So in Quebec, you can't get raw milk. But just to give you an idea, if we were to drink raw milk, which is how nature created milk, all the enzymes to digest lactose are already there. So what we do instead, we do the pasteurization process. Well, when I say we, I just mean in general. We do the pasteurization process, and then to make yogurt, add bacteria back. But if it ever became legal, and it would be nice if people can choose, if they want pasteurized or unpasteurized, then you wouldn't actually have to add the bacteria back into it.
What are some countries that don't pasteurize?
Well, there's actually a tour in New York. Cool. And it's actually set up by somebody from Quebec that you can go on a tour, because New York, you're allowed raw milk. You can go on a tour of, it's 40 different small farmers that produce raw milk dairy products. And you can go there and you can drink raw milk and different raw milk products.
Yeah,
exactly.
Cheeses and creams.
Yes. Now, if you ever do something like that, then you have to take responsibility for assessing the quality of the producer.
Exactly.
So when you pasteurize milk, it doesn't matter if the producer is creating the good quality milk or not. Because if there ends up bacteria in there, you just kill it via pasteurization. But if you're not going to pasteurize, then you want to go and meet your farmer. You want to meet the person that's making the milk. Look at the operation for yourself with your own two eyes. Don't depend on somebody else to tell you it's good or not. And ensure that everything is being done in a very healthful way, in a very clean way, and then you don't have to worry about problems that are associated with raw milk.
Right. Awesome, Mark. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's the lactose piece. So just a reminder, if you take dairy products and you get some kind of gas or bloating, the problem is the lactose. And we're going to talk about what you can do about that. And
protein.
Now the last piece, the protein. So this is where things get interesting. Now the protein, there's two main types of protein in milk. One of them is called whey, and one of them is called casein. So when people make cheese, you may have heard of the term separates the curds from the whey. So the curds are the casein molecules of protein, and the whey is just called whey protein. Thank you very much. So most people, not everybody, but most people do not have a problem with whey protein. And you can see on the market there's lots of different whey protein supplements, but you don't see a lot of casein protein supplements. So whey protein is a byproduct of the cheese making process, and then you could do a bunch of stuff with it. One of them would be to make a whey protein supplement. And there are special foods made out of whey as well. I'm gonna show you guys at least one of them. So, and we'll come back to that in a sec. So that's the whey piece, and then there's the casein piece. Now, that is the most common cause of milk allergy. So milk allergy is you don't get gas or bloat. It's either you get anaphylactic shock and you go to the hospital, or you get skin rashes, you get scratchy eyes, you get runny nose, you get postnasal drip. So those are symptoms.
Inflammatory response.
Inflammatory response,
Yeah.
exactly. So there's the casein molecule ends up turning into an allergen in your body, and your immune system attacks it, and you get that kind of response. So coming back to the whey for a second, if you know you're allergic to milk and you're allergic to if you're anaphylactic shock, don't try this. But say if you know you drink dairy products, if you eat dairy products, and you get like a runny nose, for example, try a dairy product that has exclusively whey in it and no casein in it. And then you might be okay to eat that particular product. And I'm going to show you one that's pretty interesting. Now, when we come to the casein, now this is when we got to start thinking about the animals themselves. So the casein molecule, there's many different types, but there's two main ones. And I'll just give you the terminology, so that way you guys can look it up if you want. One of them is called A1 casein, and one of them is called A2 casein. And so there's this controversial debate of A2 milk versus A1 milk. So I'll show you guys a picture. So when you guys think about cows and dairy production, this is probably what you guys think about right here. And I'll just zoom it in for a sec. So this is a picture of a Holstein cow. Now the Holstein cow, it produces A1 casein in its milk products. Okay, so that's the Holstein. And this is all that people think about when they think about milk. Now I'm going to show you a couple other animals, or different types of cow. So this is a Jersey cow, so you guys can see that. And maybe you've heard of the term Jersey cow before. And I'm going to put this one here. This is a Guernsey cow. So you ever hear of that famous brown cow where people make jokes about brown cows that produce chocolate milk? Well, here is a brown cow, and this is called a Guernsey cow. Then, next up, so here we have a sheep. A female sheep is called a ewe. E-W-E. So here's our female sheep. After that, we have a goat. So here is a female goat. A female goat is either called a nanny goat, or a doe. So here's our goat. And last one, and this is an amazing beast. Here we have a water buffalo. So water buffalo, a female water buffalo is also known as a cow. And so I piled them up like this because this Holstein produces A1 milk that happens to be the more allergenic type of milk for most people. And all the animals in this pile So the Jersey cow, Guernsey cow, sheep, goat, and water buffalo produce A2 protein in their milk, which is the same protein structure as in human breast milk. Now, this protein structure is not the same as human breast milk. So a lot of the allergies that we see to dairy products might have to do with the fact that this is the most popular type of cow. Now, this is the most popular type of cow in the Western world because it yields the most milk. Now, when people were first introduced to Holsteins, and they kind of bred Holsteins and created them, and they were like, wow, look at this amazing animal, it produces more milk. So it only makes sense, right, to say, oh yeah, let's take more milk from this particular animal. So it's not like the farmers were trying to do anything bad.
No.
Yeah.
It's yield, right?
It's yield. But then things start to get out of hand. Now it's all about yield.
Mm-hmm.
So all major milk producers are going to use Holstein cows to try to get as much milk as they can out of the animal. And unfortunately, it leads to the most allergenic or a more allergenic type of milk.
Right.
So what you guys can do is, if you know you have a slight allergy, not an anaphylactic allergy, but just a slight allergy or intolerance to milk, you could say, well, let me not eat Holstein dairy products. Let's try sheep. Let's try goat. Let's try water buffalo. Let's find a herd of Jersey cows. Let's find a herd of Guernsey cows and try those particular products.
So does that mean that them looking for these products, we'd have to find those individual farms that do that, or does the supermarket have some of these products?
You're unlikely to find that in the supermarket. You could find it in health food stores.
Right.
And I'm going to show you guys a whole slew of products that come from these animals, and I'll mention where you guys can find them.
Okay.
Goat is actually probably the easiest one
To find.
because you can find goat milk, goat yogurt in the supermarket. So that could be an option that you start, but I would encourage you to try to go a step further and try to find dairy producers that really treat their animals well, give them fresh air outside, and feed them mostly what they're meant to eat, which is grass.
Right.
Okay, so that's the piece of the different components of dairy.
Mark, that's awesome. That's there's even clarified some things that I
Absolutely. Well, even when we test for intolerances and stuff, like it kind of narrows down a little bit more, like because casein is one of the things we test all the time.
Okay.
Even for our recommendations, right? Like this is awesome, Mark.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and so for myself personally, the reason this came all about and why I learned and took the time to learn about all this is I have a mild intolerance to Holstein milk.
Yeah.
If I drink it, I have a perpetual post-nasal drip. So then I was told, because I go to the doctor about it, and they'd say, oh, because you have a deviated septum, which is true, I have a deviated septum. And so my breathing on one of my nostrils is not as good as the other one. So I said, oh yeah, that's why you have a post-nasal drip. But then I stopped eating dairy completely, and it went away. But for me, again, this is me personally, when I don't eat dairy, I don't feel as good. Now, I have a Northern European lineage, so I think for many thousands of years, my body is kind of adapted towards eating certain types of dairy products.
Yeah.
So I went back towards eating especially sheep's products, and then no post-nasal drip, and then I just feel amazing.
Okay.
Awesome.
Because it's funny, that is a recommendation we give often for to parents for kids that are having ear infection, repeated ear infections,
any type of inflammation,
all that mucousy kind of build up in the body. So it could potentially be that they're obviously having the
problem with this.
The milk that everyone drinks or cheese that everyone eats, and switching to this might have that.
It's also awesome to see that there are alternatives, right? Instead of because people are so afraid of the cut out everything method, right? Which for some people it might be necessary, but for most, probably not. Coming back to our quality,
absolutely,
the subject of quality and properly raised, right? Like we said, how important is the food we eat, but just as important is the way the food we eat was raised.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so now let's start to go through piece by piece some of these different products that I brought along today. Okay. So if you're not sure if you have trouble digesting fat, lactose intolerance, dairy allergy, if you're not sure, I would really encourage you to cut it out completely for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. and then start to reintroduce products in the order that I'm showing you. Or if you know you're good with dairy, start to move just towards higher quality dairy products that we're going to take a look at.
If it's actually like an inflammatory reaction, so 6 weeks minimum for
6 weeks. Okay, so there you go.
If it's an IG reaction, 6 weeks for the casein.
Always dependent on the case too. Like something chronic, like
but a minimum
longer.
Yeah,
I know it sounds like a long time, but a minimum of 6 weeks before you can start the reintroduction.
So let's say you do the 6 weeks, and then what order should you reintroduce them? Well, we're going to reintroduce them in the order of least allergenic to most allergenic. And what we said at the beginning, the different components of dairy, the least allergenic is the fat.
Yeah.
So we're going to go towards the products that have the most fat and that basically have no lactose and no protein. And so the ultimate product, and this one is very special, guys, very special. We have ghee. So ghee is clarified, it's a special type of clarified butter. So we take the butter, then you cook it down a little bit, and that separates all the milk solids. So milk solids are what give butter its special flavor. So it separates out all the milk solids, they sink to the bottom, and then you evaporate off all the additional water. And then you pour it through with like a milk bag or a very fine strainer to separate the milk solids completely, and then you end up with ghee. Now, this ghee, I brought this one. It's not quite local. It's from New Jersey, but I wanted to show you guys because this is the best in the entire world. So this ghee producer, it's called Pure Indian Foods, and you can look at the color of the ghee. Go take a look even at a health food store. Look at the ghee that they have, and it's really good, the stuff that they have, but look at the color of this one. You're not going to find that around here right now, at least. So what this producer does is he feeds the cows, and it's Holstein cows, so it's these type of cows, but there's no protein in it. There's no lactose in it. It's just pure butter fat. So even somebody who has potentially has an allergy to the casein won't have a problem with this. And this milk, so he feeds his cows the grass, but from the spring. So the fastest growing grass in the spring when the grass is the most nutrient rich, and then at the end of the spring milks the cows, turns it into ghee, and ghee is a product that lasts for a long, long time. So you could take this ghee without, you could put it in the fridge easily for 6 months. You could put it in the freezer for more than a year. Or you can leave it on your counter with no refrigeration at all and use it within a month or two and not have any problems with it. Now this, as a consequence of the way that the animals are raised, it's extremely high in vitamin K2 relative to other dairy products. So remember, vitamin K2 is what allows you to better absorb the calcium in your diet. So this is a great option for that. Now, when you cook with this, you put it in the pan, and then your whole room, your whole kitchen is going to smell like popcorn, actually. It's going to give that popcorn butter smell. It has such a nice aroma to it.
You smelled it? Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
And the taste, though, it's not quite the same taste as butter, but anytime you're going to put butter in something, you could put ghee instead. And it's just an absolutely wonderful product. You can order it from online, and then they ship it here.
Do you order direct from them?
I order direct from them, and you can order it. What I do is I'll usually order, say, like 6 jars at a time. They put it in a flat rate shipping box and send it down. So you are going to pay a little bit more for this, but if you looked at the price in the health food store, and then you compared the price of shipping it in from New Jersey, it's about the same. And normally I'm going to really say, yeah, go local, but this product is so special, and it's not that far away. I really suggest that you guys check it out. And so anytime you would use butter for something, you can use this instead. So it's absolutely fantastic. So this, ghee or clarified butter, would be the first item that you would introduce back into your diet.
Okay.
Boom.
Awesome.
So now, second item that you would introduce would be butter. So here I have a butter from a local producer. This is from Fromagerie Ancêtre. So Fromagerie Ancêtre, they're in the Trois-Rivières region. Yes, exactly. They're in the Trois-Rivières region. And so if we look at the butter, you can actually see a little bit the color. So you can tell the quality of butter based on the color of it. And in this time of year, your butter is going to be always a little bit more white. But then as the cows go outdoors more and more and more and eat greener grass, the color of the butter is going to become more and more yellow. But even now, you see it's still relatively yellow in color. So the next thing that you would introduce would be this butter, because the only thing that's in the butter is milk solids. So it's all the butter fat that's in here, plus a few milk solids. So basically we're looking at trace amounts of lactose, trace amounts of casein.
Yeah.
And so most people will be fine eating butter, even if you have problems with those other components. So there's the butter. Then the next item that you would do after the butter, and I showed this one to you guys last time, we have cream. So this is cream from Horizon Nature. So they're a distribution company, and they take cream from many local creameries and send it out. So this is a 40% cream. So this was the next item that you can try. This one has a little bit more lactose, a little bit more milk protein in it relative to butter. And you might say, well, what am I going to do with cream? How am I going to eat cream? You whip the stuff. You whip it and you put it on top of your blueberries. Or you make ice cream out of it. You can make pudding out of it. There's so many things that you can do with cream and see how your body reacts to it.
2 weeks ago, we made butter with it.
Yeah, we made butter with it.
The magic jar.
So there you go. So that's the next piece, the cream.
Awesome.
Okay. So now so those are the fat, or the ones that have a lot of fat, almost exclusively fat. So now the next piece we're going to go towards is fermented dairy. So for fermented dairy, I'm going to show you guys first yogurt. So yogurt, we take milk, we add an enzyme into it that digests the lactose in there. So if you have lactose intolerance, you might be okay with these yogurts. If you're allergic, say, to the protein structures of this type of cow, try yogurts from these different animals that we have here. And I'm going to show you 3 examples. So the first one, and this is my favorite, this is the Royal Yogourt from La Moutonnière. So this is in Saint-Hélène de Chester. Okay, so it's kind of out again in the Trois-Rivières region. And these are pasture-raised sheep.
Amazing.
So pasture-raised sheep, and this particular yogurt is 5% milk fat, so you're getting all the benefits of the healthy fats that are in there. And in here as well, we have the bacterial enzymes that are going to help digest the lactose, and there's protein in there. And even in here, it gives you, like, even on the container itself, so there's the front. On the side, it explains a little bit the different protein structures of sheep relative to other animals.
Okay.
So you guys want to give this a shot?
Yeah.
Do it.
So let's try it out. Now, when you eat full-fat yogurt, if you haven't eaten full-fat yogurt in a while, make sure you always give it a good stir first, because the fat will separate and stay on the top. So there you go, guys. So sheep's yogurt.
Awesome.
So let's see what you think of this one.
It's amazing.
And this has no sugar added. I really don't suggest you guys buy yogurt with sugars added. Buy the plain yogurt, and if you want to flavor it, add your own fruit to it.
And it doesn't even have that
Fruit
strong taste that normally you get from.
Normally, sheep and goat products will have a slightly stronger taste. And in general, sheep's products do not taste as strong as goat products do. However,
amazing.
we don't want to overgeneralize.
That's
so,
amazing.
It's really good, eh?
Yeah.
Even straight. I mean, I usually just eat it straight, but if you want, put it with some berries or whatever other flavorings that you want to put in there.
Or this
Or yeah, this guy. We'll get to this guy in a sec. So the next one that I wanted to show you guys. So here. So this is an extremely special product, okay? Now this one, you can get this. So this is a small herd of goats that kind of live in, they're in Quebec, but right on the border of Ontario. And you can get this at the health food store in Hudson called Cœur de Bonne Chose. So this is a woman that had a lot of health problems. So to help change her life, she decided to move out to the country, get herself some animals, and spend her time caring for other animals. And in caring for the other animals, she was able to overcome many of her health problems. And so this is a full-fat goat yogurt. So this one is 5% milk fat. And so let's give this one a try. Now, usually goat yogurt is very tangy. It has a real punch to it. So let's try this one and see what you guys think about it.
Could have bunch of those. That's my backyard right there.
Yeah, exactly. You got to go to Cœur de Bonne Chose. There's a couple other things in there that are really amazing products. So here, so try this out, guys. So this one you can see it's like velvety in texture.
Yeah, a little thicker.
Yeah, definitely a little thicker. It's just the process of creating the yogurt.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. It's lighter.
and so you can get a little bit of that flavor after you eat it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it's not overwhelming in flavor.
Very good.
And the woman's secret is to keep the stress levels
Love.
of the nanny goats down
Love.
by keeping the billy goats further away. So the billy goat, so it's really funny, and you can actually taste the difference. So if you try this goat yogurt and then go to the supermarket and buy another goat yogurt just to compare the difference, you'll see this one does have a strong taste to it because it's from a goat, but it's not an overwhelming taste like it is in the other one.
It's
so
amazing.
It's very pleasant taste. And now the last one that I'll show you for a yogurt, this one I'm very excited about too. Now this one is exclusively from Jersey cows. So this is a product from the Eastern Townships. Yeah, so there's the Jersey right there. And this is Greek yogurt. So for those of you that like a strained yogurt, a thicker yogurt, this is the way to go. And it's 9% milk fat from Jersey cows that they live outside most of the year, and then when they have to go inside for the cold, they eat hay. So it's a really good quality producer. And let's try this one. So you'll see this one has a nice texture to it, and it's all and like when you're eating it, you can see, oh yeah, this would turn into a really nice tzatziki or something like that. So if you like that,
Oh yeah.
that's pretty good, eh?
That one's very good.
This one's very good.
It's like sour cream.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of strained yogurt, and especially from such a high quality producer like this, it takes it up a whole notch.
And this one as well.
So now
You're gonna
this
order
one,
from them. Is
I
that-
didn't mention. Now this one, you guys can get it at like Tao, at Health Tree.
Oh.
It's available. They have a low fat version also, but I highly suggest you get the full fat version. And this one, you can order it. You can get it at like Tao, but usually it's not the unflavored version. Because the woman that makes the yogurt, she has all of these wonderful flavors, but I still suggest that you guys flavor it yourself. But you can order this from Lufa Farms.
Amazing.
So if you have a drop-off point near you, and there's a drop-off point at Club Mansfield in Point Claire, there's a drop-off point in Bois-Franc and Saint Laurent.
We should start a
So,
drop-off.
so you can have a drop-off point here, maybe
That'd be a good idea.
depending on the scheduling, right?
Yeah.
And so you can order this one
New place.
from there.
Yeah.
So those are 3 yogurt options for you guys, and all of them from very high-quality local producers. Okay.
They're amazing. Yeah.
So next on our list is another fermented dairy product, cheese.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I brought 3 different types of cheeses, and but from 4 different producers. So the first one I brought, this is my favorite cheese. So this is a sheep's milk cheese. This is called Zachary Cloutier, also from the Eastern Townships, from pasture-raised animals. And most people shy away from sheep's cheeses.
Are these pasteurized? They're pasture-raised.
Pasture-raised, and it's pasteurized.
It is pasteurized.
It is
right?
pasteurized.
In Quebec, can you get raw?
Yes, you can get raw
Jean-Paul-
cheeses.
Jean-Paul Market sell some. And
Yeah, even in the West Island, you can go to a place like Yannick Fromagerie and Marché de l'Ouest, and they
Yes.
have many different options. So, if we cut ourselves a little piece of this, so this is a very nice tasting sheep's milk cheese. Sometimes people only have eaten something like, say, Manchego cheese, which is a very strong sheep's milk cheese. So they say, oh, sheep's milk cheese is no good. But you got to try a cheese like this first before you say, oh, I don't eat sheep's milk cheese. And this is really an amazing cheese.
Wow.
So now this is fermented. Now it has a lot of casein in it, okay, but it's A2 type of casein, and that casein is broken down during the fermentation process.
it's amazing.
Not fully, but
Wow. Very good.
yeah, it's really good.
Unbelievable.
So you can get a cheese like this at Yannick Fromagerie in the West Island, or
That's the one in the Marché de l'Ouest.
in the Marché de l'Ouest, yeah. Or if you're ever at Jean Talon Market, Fromagerie ML, they have all sorts of amazing cheese like this. And this is just one example.
Wow.
It just so happens to be my favorite, and I think
That's
you guys can see
unbelievable.
why.
Very, very good.
That's amazing.
So now, next item I have here is I told you guys that if you're allergic to casein, sometimes you can still eat whey products. So here, This is also from the same yogurt company as this. This is a whey milk cheese. So there's no casein in this cheese. Ricotta cheese. And the ricotta cheese is from the same sheep that we get the yogurt from. So let's give this one a try, guys. And you can see the difference between whey milk cheese and sheep's milk cheese. Now this one, you can order it from Lufa Farms. Or if you go to like Tao or Health Tree, since they have the yogurt, you can ask them to order the ricotta cheese for you guys. So let's just put some of the cheese out here. And let's give it a try. I'll just use my fingers because I have no manners.
Us too.
Let's do that.
And so this is not an aged cheese, so it doesn't have that sharp taste. But this is a really great way.
Oh wow!
If you want to take something and stuff it, or if you want to put it, like say you make a spaghetti squash pasta with bolognese sauce, and you want to put a cheese element to it, you can sprinkle a little bit of this on the top. So this is a very unique taste. So great compliment, and it's a whey milk cheese. So even if you have trouble with a cheese like this, you can try this one. Also from Sheep's. You can tell I love sheep. And now, the next cheese. Now this is from this incredible beast of an animal. So this is from a water buffalo. So we have two water buffalo producers in Quebec that make bufala di mozzarella. So the first one we have bufala mozzarella di bufala, I mean, from Machocha. That's the name of the producer. And Machocha also happens to be a client of mine, a client of yours, a good friend of all of ours. And her brother actually raises water buffaloes to produce water buffalo milk. And he's only one of two people that do it. Wow. And so here's the other one, Bufalarella it's called. And this one is from Fromagerie Fuoco. So this one is from the Laurentian area, and this one is from the Eastern Township area.
Awesome.
So I don't know if you guys have ever tried mozzarella di bufala.
Yep.
Okay, good. Because and if you haven't at home, you got to try this stuff. So what's cool about this one? So now there's casein in it, but it's soaked. A2 casein, yeah. But the fluid that's in here. So if you could see that there's a bit of fluid in there, that fluid is whey. So we got a casein-based cheese that's soaked in whey, and that gives it a very, very special flavor. So let's take this guy out. There we go. And we'll cut out some pieces for you guys to try. I apologize for my fingers, but I should have brought a fork.
No, it's okay.
So there you go, guys. So give that one a try. It's Dairy Day here at Vitality.
Nice.
My favorite day of the week.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thanks, Mark. It's amazing.
Oh man.
Oh man, it's just so creamy.
Yeah.
And you got the whey that's soaked in the whey, and you get that extra flavor from that whey. It's really amazing.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So the cows.
The ones in the supermarket are like don't have any taste. Really.
yeah.
Right?
But the key with mozzarella di bufala is it has to be consumed really close to the day of production. So if you have one that's from Quebec, they produce it, bring it into the city, and then boom, and you eat it right away, and you get so much flavor, depth of flavor out of it. So now let's try this other one, and the other one we'll eat it, and we'll add some extra elements to it, just so you guys can taste the difference between the two. So this ball is just a little bit smaller, but still amazing. And so here's how we're supposed to eat it. So I'll just cut a couple little small pieces out of this.
It's amazing.
And from this guy, for this guy, I brought some olive oil.
Oh yeah.
So this is ice-pressed raw olive oil. So if you ever wanted to taste what olive oil really tastes like, you can get this ice-pressed olive oil, and the flavor is just so different than regular olive oil because it's used at a temperature that's 30 times, the pressing process, the temperature is 30 times less than even cold-pressed olive oil.
Wow.
So it really gives it a unique flavor. So let's add a little bit of that on there.
Where do you get that one?
So this you can get at Tao, actually.
Yeah.
And you'll see it's pretty expensive, so you don't necessarily have to switch exclusively to that, but I really suggest you try it, and it's amazing. it'll help you appreciate how much the production process affects the end result. And I don't have any fresh basil, but I have some little basil on here. We're supposed to sprinkle a little bit of basil, and now we're ready to eat our second batch.
Let's get in there.
Mozzarella di bufala.
I'm gonna do food more often. It's like my favorite topic.
And you taste that olive oil. The olive oil doesn't have a sharp taste at all. Just gives you a bit of that olive aftertaste with the cheese kind of going as your primary flavor.
Funny, my kids make fun of me because that's like the one thing I can't eat.
Olive oil?
Olives.
Olives. Okay.
I can't stand olives, but I love them. Yeah, I love olive oil. It's just weird.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, Mark, that's unbelievable.
Very, very good.
So there you go. So that's the bufala mozzarella. So I'll just put the balls back in here. So this you can get at any cheese store. For example, Yannick Fromagerie again in the Marché de l'Ouest, and the machocha as well. You can get it there. Sometimes it's a bit harder to get the one from Machocha because he services like a lot of restaurants and stuff. So so sometimes you go to the cheese store and they might not have some, but then you just ask them and they'll call you whenever it gets in.
Amazing.
This is by far my favorite.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely just unbelievably
I'm
good.
gonna have to swing by the fromagerie on the way home
to get some of that here. So I'll put this aside, and we'll keep the ricotta there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the order that we went there. So
let's do a little recap because we're coming up on an hour.
Okay, so then we'll call it a day. But then I just got to show you guys one more thing.
Yes, yeah.
So we started with the ghee, purely fat, right? Then we went to the butter, almost purely fat. Then we went to the cream.
40%.
40% cream, or even 35% cream is okay, but there's a little bit more protein, a little bit more lactose in there. So you might have to stop at that stage, but then you can still eat ghee and you can still eat butter. Then we went to yogurt, fermented dairy. So we got our sheep's yogurt, we got our goat's yogurt, and we got our Jersey cow. Jersey cow. And then after that, we went to cheeses. Now, cheese, oftentimes people have to stop before they get to cheese because it's so rich in casein. But because we're talking about A2 casein from these animals, you might be okay with it. So we had bufala mozzarella, we had Zachary Cloutier cheese, and we had a whey milk cheese, ricotta cheese from Fromagerie La Moutonnière. So if you can't eat casein cheese, you might still be able to eat whey cheese. Okay, guys, so now this is the last piece. So now this is the last piece of the puzzle that you would put in. Milk. Now, not everybody can drink milk, okay? Even you might be good to, you get to yogurt, you stop there. You might be good with cheese, you stop there. But if you want to try milk, or if you and your family currently drink milk, that's fine. But let's make sure that the milk that you guys are drinking is the best of the best. So I got our milk on ice here. Yep. So we got 3 different types of milk, all from local producers. So here, let's do it in order.
Okay.
So number 1. So this is from Fromagerie La Moutonnière. So same place as we got this, same place as we got this cheese here. So this is ewe's milk. Okay, so this is sheep's milk, in other words. So you can get this by special order at Tao, or you can get it, they have a booth at the Jean Talon Market. When you go to the Jean Talon Market, though, it's often sold out right away. Because a lot of people who don't drink cow's milk can only drink sheep's milk, and they really want this, because this is really good. The second one, this is also from Cult. This is 100% Jersey cow milk, and this one has 5% milk fat. So that's just absolutely fantastic for the vitamin content that I was telling you guys about at the beginning. So we have that, and then we have the last one. So not too long ago, I went to Coeur de Bon shows with my wife, and she was holding my hand, and she let me go, and I started running right to the dairy section. And I looked in the refrigerator, and I said, can this be? I can't believe this. For years, what I've been looking for is milk from a Guernsey cow. There's only 2 Guernsey herds that I know of, and they're both in the Niagara region of Ontario. And unbelievably, they had golden Guernsey milk at Coeur de Bon shows, and this is from Ebby Manor, a 100% Guernsey producer from the Niagara region of Ontario. So when I found this, I kind of took it out of the freezer and I started running around the store. You know, kind of like when in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you know, when he finds the golden ticket, he's like, run home, run home. I'm like running with it. I'm like, honey, look at this. Guernsey milk. There's Guernsey milk here. I can't believe it. She's like, calm down, honey, calm down. and so then what we did was we bought they have really good almond butter cookies there. So I bought the almond butter cookies. So I ate a couple cookies. I opened this thing up, and oh man, it just went down. It was just unbelievable. So this is Guernsey milk. So all these are A2 options of milk. So I don't know what you guys think about milk.
Let's do it.
You want to do it? You want to try?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so let's.
I will try anything once.
So let's start with the sheep's milk from
This or that.
La Moutonnière. I won't put too much because we want to try the other milks too.
Cheers for that.
Yeah, we got to cheers for this. This is just such an exciting moment to be able to drink milk from such a high quality producer.
And you got to look in each other's eyes when you do it, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's a French thing. My wife taught me. Otherwise, it's bad luck.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, that's not even.
I don't know when the last time you drank milk is, Kevin. Probably been a while.
I haven't had milk in years.
I probably haven't had milk
Drank
in years.
a glass? Like 12 years, probably.
12 years?
Yeah.
So it's a big day here today,
It's a
guys.
big
It's a
day.
big day.
Big day.
So that's your sheep's milk.
That was actually really good.
That tastes really good.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy.
Wow.
Now let's try the Jersey cow milk. Now this one is 5% fat. So most of the time you limit the fat content is limited to 3.25, but this is 5%. So no messing around with this stuff. So you'll see the texture is a little bit thicker when you drink it, and we'll see what you guys think about the flavor of Jersey.
Cow.
Yeah, Jersey cow. So here's the Jersey cow again, just an absolute beautiful animal. So there's the Jersey cow. Let's give this one a try.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's
Man.
that's smooth.
Oh yeah, that's really good. The
It's
extra.
like I'm doing a Scotch tasting.
We taste milk here though instead.
Bring one of those in.
What's funny though is a milk tasting like this is probably more controversial in certain areas than a Scotch tasting.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's very good.
Yep.
Okay, guys, and the absolute last thing now, the golden Guernsey milk.
Nice.
So, and this one I love it. It's in a glass
The
bottle.
golden ticket.
Yeah, it's the golden ticket in a glass bottle, super cold. So let's try this out. This was for many years the most sought after cow for milk because of how amazing it is. But
What's the fat content on this?
So this one, the fat content's a little bit lower. At Coeur de Bon shows, they only had the 2% in stock, but then I immediately ordered. They have I believe a 4%. So I'm very excited for that one. So here we go, guys. Golden Guernsey milk.
Let's do another
10
cheers.
years for me to find this milk, guys, and here
10
we
years,
are
10 years in the making.
drinking it.
Cheers, guys.
Oh yeah.
You can definitely taste
There's
the
a big
difference.
difference between that one and that one.
Oh yeah, big time. And that's the Guernsey. So the Guernsey again is this beautiful animal right here, the brown cow.
Chocolate milk.
Yeah. Golden milk, even better.
Golden milk.
Absolutely fantastic. So again, just to summarize, you guys might not get to the point where you want to drink milk on a regular basis, and you don't have to. But if you or your family or your kids do drink milk, switch to these kinds.
Yeah. There are other options.
Yeah, like you guys can order this one from Lufa Farms.
Amazing.
You can order this one from Tower. You can get it at the Jean Talon Market, or you can get this one at Coeur de Bon shows in Hudson. And if they don't have any in stock, just ask them, and the lady there will order some extra and put them aside for you. So these are very, very special products, guys, and it can really, really change your whole relationship with dairy because you know that you're eating and drinking the best possible dairy products.
Mark,
absolutely.
Mark, I want to say thank you so much for coming to spend time with us. It's
really interesting.
Man, I learned so much today. I hope you guys learned as much as we did. If you guys have any questions or comments, write them in. We're gonna put lists of how to get these products and exactly what they are on the website, on the Facebook page.
Yep.
If you guys have any questions or comments, don't hesitate. Mark can always be reached. We'll give you Mark's information too.
We'll definitely have him back.
Yeah, he's coming.
Oh, I
back.
got some other stuff I want to show you guys.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry again. We went over. We would probably stay here all day doing this stuff. It's fun. I hope you guys had fun. Check us, like I said, like the videos, share the videos for us.
Yeah, please share this video. Like I'm not saying that it's not for me, it's not for us. I want these producers to be known because this is going to make a huge difference. Local producers of dairy products can make a huge change in people's lives and in just the general health of the Quebec dairy industry.
Yeah, that's amazing, Mark. Thanks for that, Kev.
Awesome.
Yeah,
well, and it clarified a lot of things for me, and it makes sense, obviously, to support local.
Yeah.
Current Bun
Local,
shows. We're
quality,
there all the time.
healthy. That's amazing, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you next
Thanks
week.
again, guys.
Awesome. Have a good one.